What is going on, everybody? This is episode 855 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I am here once again with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, crisis actors. It's Mary. I think we already have bad news.
Everything goes wrong all the time.
Because there's just always something, you know, not working in the studio. And today it seems like the crisis meter is not updating with your super chats. But please, still send them. We will still set off a party.
Yes.
We will still...
And who knows if that'll work, because nothing ever works.
Yeah.
Then yesterday or 2 days ago, it was like all the lights in here were flashing red and blue and wouldn't go back to their normal color.
To put things into perspective, I woke up this morning and I was like, I'm about to go to my job where I record a podcast every day. And that's really cool and fun. And I'm glad that this is my job. That's what I thought. No, I'm serious. I woke up this morning and that was legitimately on my mind.
Yes.
So we're keeping a positive outlook on life today, even though the crisis meter isn't working. Maybe it'll be fixed.
Also, Libsyn is having problems with the audio version, and yesterday's audio version is not up yet, which we had to send emails to Libsyn to get figured out. We're working on it.
Fine.
We got some people tagged us on X. Thank you for that, for bringing that to my attention, because it said it uploaded. It did not. I re-uploaded it. It showed up on my Castbox, which is like my Android podcast. You know, it populates all the podcasts I listen to on there. Showed up there. Is not showing up on Spotify or any of the others, but we will keep you updated, and everything's going to be fine.
Yes.
We have very, very good jobs, which is, of course, very, very true. And these are small beans compared to your average everyday work problem.
But we also have good news. It's that Phil is joining us in the studio.
Hi, everybody.
Today.
How you doing? My name's Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary, and I don't have any of the problems that these guys have.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. You just talk. You're just a star.
Just
don't
roll
have to
in
think
here,
about it.
say what's up,
Exactly.
give my opinion, mostly.
And we appreciate you for that.
Be, you know, disapproving of the things that I see.
And then boom, he's out of here like a phantom.
You pointed out just before we started the stream, there's a lot of talk about half-naked women today. And
today,
I was like,
yeah.
You know what? Now that you mention it, yes.
Yeah.
Well, no, technically Nala doesn't count because she's not half-naked.
Formerly half-naked.
Yes.
Yeah, her business was half-naked.
Yeah.
And even now, like, her whole business model is, remember when I used to be half-naked? Like,
Now
that's
I'm not.
all the stuff that she,
Yeah.
like, all of the way that she presents herself now. It's like, remember, I used to be that girl. I'm not anymore, but I used to be. It's all a wink. It's all just like she does her makeup and her face the same. It's all her saying with a wink.
Well,
like,
just save your ire
don't
for
forget.
when we cover that.
I don't even know
later
if I
in
have
the
any
show.
ire. I think
I think you do. Maybe just a little bit under the surface. And we're going to be talking about that later in the show.
Okay.
So we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. Everything's going wrong, but at the same time, everything's okay. So hit the like button on this video, guys, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Remember to share the live stream out with your friends, your family, your loved ones, your closest relatives, even a mortal enemy, perhaps. If you have one, you should share it with somebody you really, really dislike, and then you should argue about this show in the comments to increase our engagement. It's the best thing that you could do for us. We have a 20 there.
From Shane H. Wilder. Again, apologies, I did not read that immediately. Happy Thrashing Thursday, Brett, Mary, and Phil. Great job, Mr. Miyagi-ing that fly last night, Brett. I saw searches for Can You Eat Soap have skyrocketed because of Sydney Sweeney. Don't buy it and don't eat it, you freaking weirdos.
Definitely don't buy it.
Yeah,
Or I guess definitely don't eat it.
so
Like, buy it if
sad.
you want, but don't eat it. Just
I
for your own
agree
health
with everything
reasons.
that Shane said.
If you're dumb enough to buy it, you might as well eat it.
Yeah. And no, there was no hole in the middle.
No, that was fake
You
news.
weirdos. So, but thank you, Shane, for that. And again, my hope is that this has happened before, that the Google Doc that houses the automation for our crisis meter, sometimes they're down for maintenance, and my hope is that it'll pick up and start again during the middle of the show. So fingers crossed on that one. What are we getting into today? Well, just like Phil said, it's a bunch of half-naked women, it seems like. Sabrina Carpenter is in the news because she has a brand new album out. The single was called Man-Child, and the album is called Man's Best Friend.
It's just all about men, all the time.
They
This
hate
bitch
men.
cannot shut up about men. She's obsessed with men. But she's a feminist icon at the same time.
Yes. So, you know, we'll
Paradoxically.
Feminism doesn't work without men.
Well, that's true.
Because you need someone.
That's
you
true.
need to. You know, someone.
You need
to
someone
blame.
to hate, someone to blame, someone to shame.
And that is actually something that leftists. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but that's something that is an argument that leftists make. Like before the colonizer went to the colonized people weren't colonized. So it takes the colonizer's the one that's doing it. So.
We'll talk about it.
Interesting harmony there.
We'll talk about it. So we're going to talk about that. We are also going to talk about a whole subset of guys who are apparently signing up to OnlyFans just to talk. They just
What are they talking about?
They just
their
want to talk.
feelings, their pets, their hobbies. They just want someone to listen who happens to also be a porn star. It's not that deep.
Oh, so they want to talk with the girls.
They
okay.
want some semblance of the girlfriend experience.
So we're going to talk about that. And as we mentioned earlier, Nala Ray is she started her own online ministry, and she's preaching the good Lord for $15.99 a month. If you
That's not that's not even a fake number. That's literally it.
Yeah,
like you can
it's
subscribe
one of the numbers, so
monthly.
We're going to
and
talk
take
about that.
courses from her on a number of topics, walking in the purpose of the Lord.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. We got a bunch of other stuff. If you're ready, guys, we can go. Mary,
Let's
you ready?
go.
Bill's
Yeah,
ready.
let's go.
Let's go for it.
Back last year when Jojo Siwa put out her hit single Karma and seemed to be crashing out in a very public way, there were many parallels drawn between Jojo Siwa and Miley Cyrus's wild and crazy wrecking ball bangers era. And this is something that Jojo Siwa even admitted to at the time, that she idolized Miley Cyrus as a kid. She was a huge fan of her, and she wanted to replicate something like Miley Cyrus's crazy phase that she went through. And now, Miley Cyrus has come out and talked about, in recent events, Jojo Siwa seemingly abandoning her LGBTQ identity and embarking on a heterosexual relationship with Chris Hughes, who she met on Celebrity Big Brother.
Crisis meter is now working again, but it did not
fantastic.
register the first 20.
Okay.
So picked up. So thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, guys.
So
We appreciate it.
at a Pride event, Miley Cyrus told the audience that she would like to pull Jojo Siwa back out of the closet again so that she can embrace her true identity as a lesbian. This was the video of Miley Cyrus making this
gross,
joke.
Man.
My real issue with this is that's not a closet, it's a pantry.
Yeah, that's not a closet
It's
at
not
all.
a closet.
She
You know,
doesn't want to
language-
show. I don't
language
think
matters.
Miley Cyrus wants to show her real closet because it would attract robbers.
Yeah, lots of money in there.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got like a full thing of Sour Patch Kids there. That's attracting me. I go over there.
Oh my God. Enjoy coming out of the closet. If this Pride is the time for you, it's Miley. I just want to tell you, have an amazing World Pride. Is it a month? It should be a year. It should be infinite. All right, I'm going back to get some more pretzels and find Jojo Siwa. Bring her back out.
So she said she's gonna go back into the closet and find Jojo Siwa and pull her back out of it so she can be the true lesbian that she is. And Jojo Siwa, being a huge fan and also personal friend of Miley Cyrus, decided to publicly address this joke, which was interpreted as a snub, on Instagram celebrating her birthday. She turned 22. She said, "I was happy at my 5th birthday having a Miley-themed party," which is absolutely insane. Your parents should not have allowed you to do that. "I'm still happy now at 22. If you know me, you know that Miley is my day one. Grew up beyond inspired by her from 2 years old on. I wasn't sure how I felt about things for a couple of days, but I've started to come to some thoughts. I don't believe what Miley said at World Pride was ill-intended, honestly. I think it was meant to be a joke, but just not a very good one. Not what the world or myself needs to hear any day of the week." I messaged Miley lightheartedly about it, and she replied saying, "All love always. Honestly, the most beautiful thing I've learned in the past 5 years is that love is a gorgeous rainbow. Don't question yourself. Don't second guess yourself. Just love, 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 love. People judge no matter what, and it can be very hard, especially when it comes from someone you love and look up to. But if you feel happy and content with yourself, that's what's most important. You get one life, hold on to it, and make it yours. Find your happy and love," heart emoji. So she didn't actually respond to what Miley Cyrus was saying. She didn't address whether she is either queer or straight or lesbian or what she would label herself as, but clearly she's in love with a man after identifying as a lesbian, and that is a topic of conversation. But this parallel between the trajectory of Jojo Siwa's career and Miley Cyrus's career is so interesting to me, because Miley Cyrus has actually cleaned up her act as well over time. She has stopped, shaving her head and twerking and sticking her tongue out the way that she used to in the early 2010s, and adopted a more grown-up persona. And she recently appeared on Monica Lewinsky's podcast to talk about her regrets over that crazy phase that she went through.
At a certain point, you hit a certain age, and everyone's like, "Why are you still doing that?" Like, it doesn't even necessarily have to be like maturing as an adult, but purely for the sake of like, you don't want to be the pop version of "Hello There, Fellow Kids."
Sure, it definitely has
Right?
an expiration date
does.
built in there, unless you're Madonna. But this was what Miley Cyrus said about the path of destruction she left in her wake.
This is a remarkably like even keel and mature.
It was fascinating,
Yes.
like that she was so mature to say all of this, and I wanna go through
Here we go.
her comments.
There was even a time where my brother and sister didn't want to go to school because of how humiliated they were to be related to me. And I remember even, my brother at one point, he was saying, "I don't judge you," but you could understand how hard it is for me to go to school and you be my sister.
Yeah.
And that really, I was a hard sibling to have as a little girl, so I was like, all right, we're even. Like, but it was really hard for me in 2013, and I lost everything during that time in my personal life because of the choices I was making professionally. If I kept dressing or acting a certain way, my relationships fell apart. No one wanted to date me because they didn't want to be with a woman. That sexual expression part was not for them. It was like shared with the world. So like guys, when I would try to date, when I was dating or who I was engaged at the time, that didn't work out because I was sharing a part of myself that men wanted to be saved for them only. And the fact that I would, pose nude or dance in very little clothes or show my body was making them feel like I was taking something away that was meant to be for them. So I would have really hard times dating. And it was really hard. It was really hard for me to go home and see my dad and like look him in the eyes and not feel super embarrassed. Same thing. My grandmother was like my grandmother is my best friend. She's dead, but she's still my best friend. And I was like, oh God, this is going to kill her.
Yeah, so that was a remarkably, like, I expected some editorializing from her about the part about men wanting that to be kept between them, about how it made them insecure or how they were bad people for not letting her sexualize herself to everybody. But she didn't do that. Also, like, given that her dad is not exactly like the most put together dude in the world, being embarrassed.
What do you mean
about being around Billy Ray Cyrus is embarrassing because you feel like you're embarrassing yourself around him? That says something about what your thoughts are on your own behavior.
Wait, so aside from Billy Ray Cyrus's music, have there been things that he has done personally and publicly that were embarrassing, or is it just that he's Billy Ray Cyrus and so that's kind of cringe because he did Achy Breaky Heart?
No,
one
he's
of
kind
his
of drunk.
Yeah, one of his sons, Trace Cyrus, actually just last year posted something about, or maybe it was like in January during the inauguration. He posted something about Billy Ray going down a self-destructive path and like
he's dating Elizabeth Hurley now.
Yes,
I just saw that.
She's 60.
She's
and
like
she looks amazing at 60.
It was just weird because she's British, right? I'm
Yes,
like, what
she
is
is.
this posh British woman doing with like leather face looking Billy Ray Cyrus?
well, it was
Long-haired Billy Ray Cyrus.
it was shocking to hear Miley Cyrus say that. Honestly, like to really look back on your misspent youth and recognize that it hurt other people and mature. It takes a lot of maturity to recognize that.
We have a 20 here on Rumble. It's from Iron Comics. Says Miley sounds like that stop smoking lady in those commercials from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, she recently addressed the comments that she gets about her voice and how low and raspy it's become. She actually was born with, I forget the name of it, but it's some sort of vocal cord condition where it basically was inevitable that would happen, and
really?
certainly the partying, drinking, and smoking didn't help. But she has some sort of polyps on her vocal cords, so that was going to happen to her anyway.
And she's still capable of singing?
Yeah, I mean, I prefer her old voice, but she's still, it's a voice that's much different from most pop stars, but people love it.
Okay. Can she still do the stuff, her old stuff?
I doubt that she could at the same
anyways.
key.
It's like, I remember when Justin Bieber hit puberty and he's like, I can't do this. So I have to do them differently.
You have to do it in a different key.
My
for
voice
sure.
is not the same anymore.
But she was 23 back when Wrecking Ball came out, and she was this total laughing stock to everybody. And Jojo Siwa just turned 22. It seems like Jojo Siwa has just done a speed run of doing the crazy thing, which was only months ago. And now, as you can see in this video, this interview with Billboard, Jojo Siwa is kind of embarrassed of her Karma era.
This makes me laugh.
She doesn't identify with it
Karma
anymore.
Era when she was wearing she basically was stealing Kiss's idea.
Yes,
okay.
that's the
Literally
picture
6 months.
she's
It was
reacting
like 6
to.
months
Yes.
ago.
Well, I remember
Yes.
we talked about it, and I was critical of her.
It's like
Kiss
all the
outfit
way
as well.
long ago, like in the last 8 months of Biden's administration. Here we
Yeah.
go.
You know what? Hi, how are you? I don't know who this is. Before I got out of the car in this outfit, I was like, I need to go. I can't go. I can't go. I need to go home. And my best friend Ezra was like, babe, let's go. You look cool. And I was like, okay, let's go.
Ezra hates you.
Yeah.
That's the karma beast. I don't really have much more to say about it. You know,
Okay, Ezra doesn't hate you. Ezra knows that you have contractual obligations that you have
Well,
to complete.
true.
Ezra wants you to
Yes.
not get taken to court for not doing your job.
Yeah.
Ezra loves you. Okay,
Yeah,
I changed my
that's
mind.
Probably pretty true.
It's just interesting that she's taken such a dramatic turn in such a short amount of time, and that Jojo Siwa and Miley Cyrus seem to be these kindred spirits with broken, raspy voices. Who
I think it's got to do with the time in which they came into those phases, which is that Miley didn't speed run it because it was at the start of that that change in the culture, whereas JoJo just had the bad fortune of like getting into it just as the culture was going into the cultural vibe shift. And now she's like she identified a better path for herself musically and as far as her identity. Not to say anything about her sexuality, but as far as her actual on-stage image, which kind of has to reflect what the culture is at the time, she just kind of came into it a little bit too late and had to like change course immediately.
Exactly. Miley Cyrus had to walk so that Jojo Siwa could run.
And then
In that
sidestep.
timeline of child star where Miley Cyrus was a Disney kid, Jojo Siwa was a Nickelodeon kid. They were beloved, like family-friendly
Jojo Siwa is
characters.
just barely old enough to be not considered a Nickelodeon kid, correct?
At 22.
22. Okay,
yeah.
so around 22. All right, so maybe not.
I mean, and with this huge empire around them and their personas, and then they go crazy and go
Yeah.
wild and attention-seeking all
Yeah.
over the place. Then
No, they got tons of money, or at least tons of credit because they've got records and things that they're working on, so they can have access to all kinds of party stuff or whatever, and they're in LA and blah blah blah. Like,
then
man.
they clean up after
Yeah.
the fact and realize that was actually super embarrassing, not only for themselves but everyone around them.
If they're lucky, they do it before they turn 27 and something bad happens to them, because 27 is the age that people seem to accidentally off themselves.
I mean, part of it is
Maybe they didn't know
also for a celebrity like JoJo Siwa is just kind of identifying which way the winds are blowing for her because she's
probably
so
fair.
young in her career. I mean, for how long she's been around, she's still got a long way to go.
Is she a good singer?
She can sing, I guess.
She can sing. I wouldn't say that's her strong suit. She's
Yeah.
basically an entertainer.
Yeah.
You know, she has a lot of charisma
Okay.
and she definitely has a
lot of
strong fan
riz.
base still. It's just she realized
She's
that
a dancer more than a singer.
yeah, and she's not a great dancer either, but like she has the spirit.
Yeah.
I think she's probably on a good track. It seems like she knows what's good for her now.
I don't want to like just dump on her, but she's not very pretty in my opinion.
I actually disagree. I think she's very pretty. She just has done a lot to distract from her beauty.
Maybe that's possible. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a path forward if she can kind of find her own niche that's not, what everybody else was doing 5 years ago.
Yeah, maybe a Jojo Siwa Miley Cyrus collab is in the future.
That could benefit both of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if does that benefit Miley Cyrus? I think
so.
I feel
her
like
album
Why do you
rollout
think
is
that it wouldn't?
flopping.
I feel maybe it doesn't hurt her, but it's like if you I don't feel like there's this fan base of Jojo Siwa that's like Miley Cyrus. I have to check this woman out. Like it benefits Jojo more than it benefits Miley.
I think it could add some coolness points to Miley since her album rollout isn't going so well right now.
Yeah, if you can, I think that any kind of, publicity like that, where you're using the other's publicity to help prop you up, that's a good thing. I love doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, anyhow,
All right, let's move on.
It seems like bro culture is making a huge comeback, and alongside the seemingly revival era for bro culture is this deluge of fear-mongering and concern trolling headlines about toxic masculinity. At the same time, this, I believe, started in the latter half of 2024 and has continued on to present day. And it prompted EV Magazine to publish this op-ed in defense of the bro archetype. In an age that loves to demonize masculinity in all forms, many like to view these men as villains, even though they're just living their lives and embracing their interests. How did this media archetype come to be, and has the demonization of this archetype contributed to our culture's ongoing mental health crisis? So there was a lot of conjecture on the comeback of bro culture, why it died in the first place. I think that Me Too had a lot to do with it. The on-campus, college campus rape culture discourse that came about in the mid-2010s was really what began the end of bro culture, but it's making a big comeback, and you can find it again on college campuses, in government institutions, in offices, on golf courses, and especially on the internet. And I've even seen the biggest sign of the revival of bro culture is the panic among Democrats about how to appeal to it. This was from the New York Times.
They cannot do it. It is impossible.
Gavin Newsom tries to understand bro culture. Will it change him in the process? The California governor has diagnosed one problem for Democrats connecting with young men, and he sees his podcast as a way to address that. Other Democrats aren't so sure. And they've now hired this woman, Olivia Juliana, to help remedy this crisis of masculinity
big
in
problem for them.
The left. And if they see the revival of bro culture as something that they need to address, I think that's proof enough that it's happening. But back in 2013, NPR attempted to define bro culture back in its heyday, and they listed 4 archetypes and this complex Venn diagram. So there were the jockish bros, an example being Tim Tebow, the doodly bros.
Tim Tebow?
He was listed here, and this was back in 2013. It was a much different time. There was the doodly bro, Andy Samberg, then a preppy bro, Armie Hammer, then the stoner bro, James Franco. They also list Channing Tatum, Ashton Kutcher, Ben Affleck, Brody Jenner, Will Smith in Independence Day, Matthew McConaughey.
He was in the military.
There are tons of examples.
He was a fighter pilot.
But then if we think about more contemporary examples, I'm thinking of Jake and Logan Paul for sure. I'm thinking of Morgan Wallen, a lot of country stars like Zach Bryan.
It's literally just a bunch of different types of guys. It's
yeah, but
there is no like unless you are wearing a dress or
Yes.
defer to women, you're a bro then.
what differentiates them and what is common among all of them is just that they don't seem to be ashamed of being male.
They're not
And
self-hating
that is
enough.
an exception to the rule these days, unfortunately. So that's why it's becoming more popular. And the rise of Barstool Sports in the 2010s was a huge reason for that. And now Dave Portnoy seems to be doing everything he can to sink their brand value. But, I also saw Nicolas Cage recently promoting his new movie called The Surfer, and he was addressing its commentary on modern masculinity and toxic bro culture and how that inspired the film. There are countless
Just go
headlines.
watch Point Break.
If you just look up bro culture, you come across an insane number of headlines that are concern trolling about what this could do to young men if it makes a comeback.
The Culture Monkey article is particularly insulting.
Yeah, the journalist class is terrified of bro culture making a comeback and becoming mainstream again in multiple different industries and sectors of society, including academia, but also the tech industry. But here were some of them that I came across that just made me laugh.
Do you have any sense why they feel like it's a zero-sum game?
Why they feel like the bros have to be annihilated?
Yeah, because it's clear, like you can't. I mean, I guess I think that it would probably have something to do with people saying, like, hey, you know, this is men and women aren't different. So I always thought that was kind of part of why, but
I think that the sheer like human spirit that they need to stamp out, it's like something that really you cannot fight against it. You can't formulate an argument against it. So they have to instead fearmonger about leading to, whether this is inciting, you know, incel violence, or is this radicalizing people? Is this like a form of stochastic terrorism? Like that, you have to use those arguments.
Is that real nowadays? I'm not sure if stochastic terrorism is real or not, because there was times where it was.
Well, the point
of
it is
times
that
it
real.
wasn't. But
yeah.
anyways.
There is an insidious tech bro culture in AI. The sector needs women. Even most men are turned off by bro culture. Bro culture, what it is and why it's still an issue. The rise and fall of the tech bro. The dark side of gym bro culture, body image issues, and bigorexia in teen boys, which is reverse anorexia. They have dysmorphia about being smaller than they actually are. Andrew Tate's new token is a reminder of crypto's bro problem. What is bro culture at work? Common
do they
signs
know
and
that
strategies.
you can just buy crypto and you don't have to be part of a culture. You can just, like, when you go to buy your Bitcoin, it doesn't have like a password and a big sign that says no girls allowed. It'll let you buy it.
The bro culture commentary was also at a peak during the election. The rise of bro culture and Trump's anti-immigrant rhetoric. Bro culture, how gender is defining the U.S. election. Infantile, petulant masculinity, Trump aims low in an appeal for American male bro voters. And then there's also the tech bro culture. Is it driving away talent? The rise of Trump bros and why some Gen Z men are shifting right. The triumph of bro culture is uglier than we can imagine. ESPN must choose bro culture or uplifting women's sports. Toxic bro culture driving Gen Z women off of social media. The bro culture has prevailed. Then ex-Social Security chief, this is from just in April this year, slams Silicon Valley bro culture at Doge. So it's just a never-ending avalanche of concern trolling headlines about the dangers of bro culture, and now there are countless niche labels for bros based on their hobbies or interests or audiences. So I found an exhaustive list of the types of bros from my deep dive into this that includes streamer bros. I guess that would include us.
Oh,
Does
boy.
that make you a streamer, bro?
That might include Tim, maybe.
Okay.
Probably Tim.
Yeah. Fitness/gym bros who make content about that type of thing for self-improvement.
Wait, so, okay. Do they identify whether...
Ashton Hall is probably that.
So it's bad to be a fitness bro, but you can be a fitness hoe.
Yeah.
And
Well, you
It's
can be
okay
anything
to be
hoe.
anything hoe,
Any
but not
female thing
bro.
is fine.
Okay.
Like all the women have to endorse and support and cheer for you and
The
stuff.
journalists are saying it's hoes before bros. There are also debate bros. I'm assuming that
Ben Shapiro. Would he be a debate
maybe
bro?
Ben Shapiro is a debate bro, but also maybe Dean
Destiny
Withers
would
or
be a debate bro.
Destiny or Harry Sisson. These are debate bros on the left. Then tech bros, of course, are maligned among the single San Francisco women. and that would include the infamous pharma bro Martin Shkreli, crypto bro.
Somebody did make a point earlier. They said that's not true about crypto, because if you're a crypto bro, you have to talk about your crypto portfolio.
Well, I think the stereotype about crypto bros is that they talk about crypto constantly but don't actually understand anything about crypto or finance in general. Then there are conservative bros, Trump bros, who formerly were called barstool conservatives. Frat bros, of course, is like the oldest archetype.
I can't believe we're still rattling.
There are more.
Do they ever list any type of man that is not a bro? Do they give you the anti-bro?
Any man can have an interest or a hobby or a worldview, and you can use that as a tagline to call him a bro, and you can then fearmonger or concern troll about it. That's the point. But I want to get through the list. Okay. There are also evangelical bros, so youth ministers, podcast bros, which kind of goes with streamer bros, but maybe not the same exact
That's also
thing.
One that they say is white. Like it's only bad if you're a white podcast.
The guys in a room who all have the microphones that are supposed to be tabletop, but they have it in their hand on their lap.
Yep.
Finance bros, 6'5", blue eyes, trust fund, and then beer bros who are really into craft IPAs.
We got a 20. It's funny because I would imagine that's the closest thing you can get to them to an acceptable bro, because he's over there listening to Stomp Clap and going to Thistle and Thorn.
Yes,
and that's about as inoffensive as they get.
We have another 20 from
Corey Anderson.
Corey Anderson. What's up, man?
I was listening to Stain's album Dysfunction, and the lyrics from the song just go, "Such a cancer on the face of everything that's beautiful," made me think, why doesn't pop music have thought-provoking lyrics?
Maybe you just don't listen closely enough, and you don't understand the third or fourth meaning.
You need to work on your media literacy.
Are there media literacy bros? I know for a fact there are media literacy bros.
Definitely A24 bros.
Yes.
There are the indie bros. There are so many different kinds. It's hard to keep track.
Yeah.
But it goes all in this... It's like an ancestry.com tree, like which bro culture birthed the next one, and they're all derivative of the last. So, I sent you this one about toxic bro culture that is thriving in work environments, even post Me Too and HR tyranny. They say bro culture at work refers to a workplace environment dominated by a specific stereotypically masculine social dynamic, characterized by a preference for traditionally male behaviors and interests, which can include aggressive competitiveness, excessive socializing centered around drinking, spending time partying, and a focus on sports or other male activities.
Go watch the movie Boiler Room or Wolf of Wall Street if you want to see what they're thinking
Classic
of
bro movie.
when they think of these things.
But there are countless others like Borat, you know.
The original,
we have to
movies
read
loved by bros, but also movies about bros.
All the Happy Gilmore stuff, like all of your Adam Sandler
It's when
stuff.
they talk about Norman Bates, or when they talk about Patrick Bateman, and they're like, people idolize him.
Right, yeah,
and you're like, or they do that with Homelander, where they get really upset that people think Homelander is cool, but they don't like Homelander or think that he's a good guy. They just think that the bad guy is a great character. They would classify anybody that likes him as a bro.
We have another 20 from Isaac Cervantes III. So my buddy's ashes are ready for pickup today. 10 was the best friend I never knew and never knew I needed. Someone tell me dogs aren't just fleshed out. I don't know what that is.
Tokamon? I don't know.
I don't know what that means. But I'm sorry for your loss.
Sorry for your loss. You have to finish the last two paragraphs because it gets so much worse there.
In the
so it says a survey by PwC revealed that women are more likely to be ignored by their managers than men. Just 26% of women felt that they could ask for a promotion compared to 34% of men. In such environments, camaraderie is often built among young stonerish bros through these shared interests, leading to a club-like atmosphere that can be exclusive and unwelcoming to those who do not fit into this mold. It is more prominent in certain industries like tech. As somebody who never fit into any type of work mold that I ever any job that I ever had, I never cared nor really thought much about whether I fit in with my other employees. The only thing worse would be if some HR manager tried to like wrangle everybody together and tell them, you need to treat him just like that is the most embarrassing prospect I could ever think of. And if you think that's a good idea, you will never survive in the real world.
Yeah, it's like on the playground when the teacher is forcing everyone to get along. Yeah. You're actually just handicapping people socially.
Bro culture values can have significant negative impacts on workplace diversity and inclusion. Women and non-binary individuals and even men who do not subscribe to these stereotypical behaviors may feel marginalized or excluded. You're
not allowed to be yourself because someone else might take offense at how you behave.
It is fantastic to not care whether you are included or not. It's actually a good thing. It is a sign of inner strength that you do not need to fit in with everybody else. That's actually what used to make certain aspects of left liberalism cool, which is that at a time where it wasn't the dominant culture, you didn't care whether you fit in or not. Now they're like, not only do I not fit in, but you have to let me fit in with you. And then they expect you to not get made fun of for that.
You have to make believe that I fit in.
That's embarrassing. Like,
well, not caring about fitting in is not a perspective that comes naturally to the vast majority of people, but especially women who thrive the most in group environments. And that's probably why the hallmarks of bro culture include athleticism and fierce competition, even if it's for something stupid like how many hot dogs you can eat in 5 minutes. And, you know, there's also the traits of just celebrating youth and boisterousness and brashness and being offensive. There's also, of course, if you're talking about frat bros and also, you know, finance and tech bros, the culture of hedonism, be it sexual hedonism or alcohol or drugs. And I understand why people feel this is inappropriate in a work environment, but I think that a lot of these people who are talking about toxic bro culture at work, at college campuses, in the government, whatever, they're imagining this maniacal villain in their mind, and it's scarier than reality. There's creating this bro boogeyman.
I saw this is a great comment from Comatose. It says, bro culture is building a sense of community based on authenticity and mutual respect. We can't have that.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm as anti-Greek life as you can get, to be honest, but I still don't see the cause for panic that these journalists see.
Yeah.
Like, I am very against the dominant, like, frat culture where there's the insane, psychotic hazing rituals. I met a guy who went to a very old university, and he said to me that he was the keeper of rituals for his frat. And he was graduated for a couple years by that point, but he told me that he was not allowed to explain any of their rituals or hazings to me because he was sworn to secrecy, like basically by blood, you know, and like it's very fear oriented.
He's like,
but
sorry
also,
if I take my oath seriously.
It's also like kind of homoerotic, like yeah, you know, the paddles and stuff like that. There are some horror stories that you hear about. But yeah, I think that the revival of bro culture overall is actually a reason to be optimistic for the future, and especially for Gen Z men who are statistically shifting closer to the right and adopting more conservative values.
Instead of disliking somebody else for the culture around their friends and interests, it would be better for you, it would be more prudent to create your own culture around your own interests. You know, if that means being a dork, then be a dork.
HR departments and college campuses and the Me Too movement and the Democrat Party and censorship on social media, all of these things worked together to ostracize and basically stamp out bro culture as we knew it in the early 2010s. And I think it did actually die for a long time. but it's coming back. There's nothing you can do to stop it. It's a force of nature.
Yeah, it's part of, their biology.
Yeah.
You can't suppress it forever.
Exactly.
Right? As a short man, I demand that everybody kind of walk low to the ground so that I do not feel hard up for being such a short person. That's the only thing that you can do. It's only fair. All right. What would you guys like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Cringe, please.
Cringe, please. Okay, we'll get it out of the way first. I did get a peek at this one first.
This is from an account
It
called
made me laugh.
Pastors with Props.
Man, that was amazing. Was that? Woohoo! Yes. That was so cool, man. Amazing. I mean, like when we did
I
the
feel
turn,
closer to
I
God
did
already.
double loops. I did not expect a double loop. That was so crazy. Oh, man, that was amazing. Wow. Man, who doesn't love a great roller coaster, right? Incredible, right? I'll catch up with you guys. Wow, amazing. Do I have any roller coaster enthusiasts in the house? Any roller coaster enthusiasts? I mean, I love a good roller.
So what I've just learned from that is religious folk don't like roller coasters
So
much because there
that's-
was no cheering.
Roller coaster. You know what? Life
That's
is
a pastor?
That's
Yes.
full of ups and
Protestant,
downs.
right? Protestant,
Oh,
right?
for sure.
My favorite is the one where they take the.
Hold on a second. I want to. Oh, for sure. I want to savor that.
I
Sorry,
like the
go ahead.
ones where they take. It's like a clip of Chris Brown being pulled on on a cord across the stage, and they call it a youth pastor. All right, yeah.
Man, that was
that was the way that he led into the sermon about how life is full of ups and downs.
Well,
Well, you know.
Okay. Cute of the day, guys. Here we go. This
Not
one's from
that
Dead Man. He says, I got photos of some of the kitties while they were resting. Blackie, Refund, and Twitch are their names.
I like Refund.
Aw.
I think that's a great name for a cat.
Aw, very cute.
This one looks like it's mad you just woke him up.
He's so soft.
He is. All right. Let's get started then.
Sabrina Carpenter just announced her upcoming album, Man's Best Friend. The lead single is Man-Child, a revenge song against her ex-boyfriend, Barry Keoghan. But she also unveiled the album cover art for Man's Best Friend, and a lot of her own fans and feminists alike are sending her backlash for this imagery. She is shown here on all fours in front of a faceless man in a suit who is grabbing her by the hair, and she is posed like a dog here, hence the name of the album, which is coming out in August. And I saw some Sabrina Carpenter fans celebrating this and saying it's actually really intellectual and deep and satirical. It's sort of a commentary on misogyny and the patriarchy and sexual objectification and all of these things. I just don't have the media literacy
That's what I
to
figured.
see how intelligent this album cover really is. Some people actually compared it to Taylor Swift's music video for Blank Space back in 2014, where she plays the part of the crazy ex-girlfriend with mascara running down her face. She's basically mocking the way that society views her, and they say Sabrina Carpenter is doing the same thing. This is like a meta commentary on the way that people view Sabrina as a sexual object. I just think it's awfully convenient that you can market to the highest amount of people by making it simultaneously sexually titillating for the male audience, but also intellectual and feminist for your female audience. Like, that's just so convenient for Sabrina that she could strike that perfect balance.
Yep.
I just don't buy that, getting on the floor and getting yanked by your hair by a man is peak female empowerment. The same way I didn't buy that Chappell Roan's blow-up doll costume on RuPaul's Drag Race was a commentary on patriarchal beauty standards.
She wants to.
You're not
it's
that
the-
smart.
That stuff is so annoying because when it comes to who sets beauty standards, it is not a patriarchal man that is setting the beauty standards.
She
That
really
is not
does
at all.
want to have her edible underwear and eat them too.
You know, one of the things that when I first saw the album cover, like I'm not really familiar with Sabrina Carpenter's politics or anything, or how, you're like, what flavor of feminism she likes. But my first impression was, oh, maybe this is actually cool, and she's actually kind of doing a bit of a Lana Del Rey, where Lana Del Rey is like, I'm going to do things that are not specifically condoned by the politically correct in Hollywood, and I know that that's going to upset people. And she even spoke on it a couple times, talked about it, and that was my first impression. And then come to find out, oh no, she's just doing the same garbage. And
Music
it's like, oh.
gets a pass when it comes to that.
Well, back in 2019, I think what you're referencing is Lana Del Rey's Question for the Culture, where she expressed that she felt she was held to a double standard compared to other female musicians, such as Cardi B, Ariana Grande, who openly sexualize themselves. And Lana Del Rey feels that she's gotten an outsized amount of backlash for doing the same thing. But
Lana Del Rey is a far classier way of sexualizing herself. First of all, that like and she embraces femininity. Like I'm actually a fairly big Lana Del Rey fan, and I've read some of the songs. I know the lyrics pretty well, and the message that you get from Lana Del Rey is she's like, look, I know this is a little on the seedy side. It makes you think of like seedy Las Vegas, and it's like she knows that that's kind of, not acceptable in polite company nowadays, but she's like, I kind of still like it, and this is what I want to do. And it's whether or not you condone that kind of perspective, she's at least standing out and saying, I see things differently from everyone else in, Hollywood and the entertainment business, which is, cool. And it makes it interesting.
The distinction I see between Lana Del Rey's angle with her music and her aesthetic and Sabrina Carpenter, what she's doing, is first of all that Lana Del Rey's songs just objectively have more lyrical depth and more honesty, and Sabrina Carpenter's music, from what I can tell, boils down to either shitting on men or being obsessed with male validation, and some combination of the two.
Yeah, that seems.
There's no depth to what Sabrina Carpenter is doing. So for people to compare the two as if they're on the same level is just a joke to me. But here were some of the responses I saw from radical feminists on Twitter, and I do find myself agreeing with them more and more often these days, because they are willing to call out the bullshit of liberal choice feminists who basically argue anything a woman chooses to do is feminist just because she's a woman and she chose to do it. One said, is this some kind of tactic to bait men who like this into listening to her diss songs? Whatever it is, comparing being a woman to a dog is too much. I get her, but I don't agree that this will ever be an empowering thing to do. Another one said, she's trying to appeal to a feminist audience by saying, oh, it's satire and there's a deeper meaning, while directly pandering to male-centered women and degenerate men. Even if it is satire with no malicious intent whatsoever, it's done in very poor taste.
There's that media literacy they're always talking about. You just don't get it. You're not smart enough to understand how deep my intentions were with my art.
Exactly. So that's just the easy comeback that they can throw at you if you have any problem with the messaging behind her art. And I think, satire is fine. You can try your hand at satire in art or comedy or anything, really. It's just that, people will be able to criticize how effective your satire is.
Yep.
And if it's not done well, if it's not executed properly, and it's merely interpreted as what it appears to be on the surface, well, you just did a bad job at satire,
Yep.
So just saying it's satire isn't really a defense to me for what she just did. And today, actually, Rolling Stone published a cover story with Sabrina Carpenter fully naked on their cover, barely covered by an angle in the shot, and she addressed some of these criticism she's gotten for sexual lyrics, sexual poses and dances that she does on stage at her tour. She's literally miming sex acts on stage, and these are all ages concerts, by the way. I think it's disgusting. But here's what she had to say to the critics. As she sings, "Wanna try out some freaky positions? Have you ever tried this one?" She acts out sex positions, changing it up every time. For her song Bed Chem, Sabrina Carpenter ends the track on a heart-shaped bed, staging intercourse with a male dancer behind a curtain. These viral moments have resulted in Sabrina being shamed online, with some parents even deeming her shows inappropriate for children. That is true. They are not appropriate. She said, "It's always so funny to me when people complain. They're like, all she does is sing about this. But those are the songs that you've made popular. Clearly you love sex. You're obsessed with it. It's in my show. There's so many more moments than the Juno positions, but those are the ones you post every night and comment on. I can't control that. If you come to the show, you'll also hear the ballads. You'll hear the more introspective numbers. I find irony and humor in all of that because it seems to be a recurring theme. I'm not upset about it, other than I feel mad pressure to be funny sometimes." This is an important topic for Sabrina Carpenter, and we discuss it again a few weeks later. She says, "I don't want to be pessimistic, but I truly feel like I've never lived in a time where women have been picked apart more and scrutinized in every capacity. I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about every female artist that is making art right now." So she's like, if you want to post the videos of me miming blowjobs with a microphone from my tour in front of children, well, that's actually because you're obsessed with sex, not me.
Insane.
Come on now, Sabrina. You're smart. You're smarter than that. She's playing dumb. She's playing dumb, and she's not actually addressing the criticism.
Mm-hmm.
She's just gonna she's gonna point the finger back at the audience and say, no, you're the perverts.
Yeah.
You're actually perverted. Like, that's the whole point of all of this. The pornographic TV shows and movies, the song lyrics, the music videos, the tours, all of the stunts that these people do. They want as much attention and cash out from that as much as possible and milk it for all it's worth. But then they will say, no, you are disgusting. If you buy my product, if you buy tickets to my show, if you spread, my social media viral moments, if you buy my merch, if you support any of this, you're actually the problem, not me. I didn't start this discourse, you did. It's the most intellectually lazy and just straight up disingenuous clapback I might have ever heard.
Well, I mean, what did I say to you earlier? I said it would have been sweet to be a pop star in like the back in the day when you didn't have to intellectualize your response and you could just kind of let your team do it. You could let your agent and your manager and your publicist do all of your responses. Like how easy it would have been to be some type of risque pop star in the 2000s when Britney's publicist just issues a response for whatever she does. Good times for them back then.
But I did point out Britney was grilled pretty hard by the media for her stunts, especially the Madonna kiss and, the schoolgirl outfit. Everything that she did was criticized, and she did have to answer for it in interviews. It just wasn't on social media.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's one thing to get some pushback every couple of months when you go to give an interview before you release a single. It's another thing to be called to talk or to answer for everything you've done all the time, no matter what. And that her level of fame, that's going to be literally every moment of every day because somebody's going to have a problem with you.
Yep.
Yeah, but I would just say, like, can you not over intellectualize just the fact that you want to be naked on the internet and in front of children? Like, you can just say that that's what you want to do because you're a disgusting person.
She should have just
it doesn't have to be a statement.
It
doesn't have to be like some kind of societal commentary. It's clearly not that deep.
When she does the photo like this, what she should have done is brought an audio recorder and just listened to whatever the pitch was from the art designer, because this wasn't her idea. She's not an art designer. She's not a photographer. She doesn't design cover. Somebody pitched this, and then it was approved. So just, it's the guy who goes, and then you lay on the floor on all fours like a dog. But what it is you're looking up at the patriarchy.
Yeah.
And you just copy whatever he said to you and put that in your statement.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
fine.
There's a picture of Sabrina Carpenter rolling around on the internet right now holding an AK, and I think that my opinion of her has changed now. So
Phil's like, you know what?
I just retweeted it.
He's like, you know what? I've changed my mind.
Yep.
I think that was from the Man-Child music video.
I think so, yeah.
It was very cinematic. I really thought that was a well-done music video. Like, I will admit that. But for the most part, her aesthetic and the world the world building around her music is mismatched with the message that's actually contained in it.
That's probably true because like what I'm
appropriate for them anymore.
But what I'm picking up from this picture again is the same kind of thing where it's like, is she making the same kind of arguments or the same kind of statements that Lana Del Rey's making? Like, this is holding an AK-47 is not very progressive leftist kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
She's not as talented or intelligent as Lana Del Rey.
Maybe that's true.
Maybe you could say that she was influenced by it, but this is a poor imitation at best.
Maybe it bothers her that her art isn't held in the same intellectual regard as other artists.
Chase your bag and stop complaining then. She's like joking about how everyone's complaining. I'm hearing you complaining a whole lot, and aside from anything Sabrina Carpenter has done or said, I do find it fascinating that there is this bifurcation of online feminists, and they are fully in a feminist civil war online right now between the liberal feminists, the choice feminists, whatever you want to call it, the girl power, women supporting women movement, and on the other side is the radical feminist movement that is finally pointing out the preposterousness of the idea that men can become women and invade women's spaces. So they're also pointing out how nonsensical it is to objectify yourself in the name of protesting objectification. Like, they see through that bullshit, but it is worrying that the rad femmes are becoming way more radical and extreme than the other side.
Yeah, but the thing is like on Feminist D-Day, you're with the rad femmes.
I am.
Storming the beaches of Normandy against,
Yeah, because I believe the rad femmes are onto something. They're not fully at the truth, but they are approaching the truth slowly but surely.
Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of rad femmes who started out as lib femmes, choice feminists, and a lot of rad femmes as well who end up just becoming Catholic and coming to the fullness of truth about why men and women are different and why both of those roles are equally valuable and dignified. And we don't need to make this cartoonish battle of the sexes discourse anymore. We don't need to divide women and men further. And you can realize eventually that men and women complement each other.
Okay. All right, let's do some super chats.
Weary Traveler just said Phil.
Hi, Weary Traveler.
Surinko Productions said...
I think he wants to ask about the USS Liberty.
I think so, too. Surinko Productions said Nala becoming the first OnlyFangelist is wild.
OnlyFangelist is an amazing term.
That's good.
That deserves a lot of praise.
Thank you.
There we go.
OnlyFangelist. That's the song they play on the beaches of Normandy when you invade with the radical feminists.
I'm already there.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm there. That's my Roman Empire. Lindsay Stiltner said, sitting in the hospital in a lot of pain. I've been waiting for the show all day. I need the laughs. Let's go.
Feel better?
Well, feel better, and I hope that we make you laugh just enough that it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you feel well soon. Thank you for tuning in. Shane H. Wilder said, Billy Cyrus is all about chasing that fame. He skipped his mother-in-law's funeral while still married to his wife to go to an Italian fashion show.
Seems like something Justin Bieber would do.
Gross.
Yeah, Justin would miss his own wife's funeral at this point.
Do one more.
Corey Anderson said, Mary, have you ever thought about doing a weekly segment called Exposing My DMs? Sounds like a fun thing to do.
No.
Sounds like a great way to get, harmed.
Yeah.
That does not sound like... strictly for security purposes, that sounds like an absolutely horrible idea.
Well, it depends on what you mean by that. I wouldn't expose the actual names and faces of the people.
They're very.
If I did it like keeping them anonymous, that might be entertaining.
That might be hilarious.
But then
actually.
also, if I made it a weekly thing, people would just DM me crazy shit for the sake of ending up in exposing my DMs. And then it would be a self-fulfilling prophecy. But there are some pretty crazy ones, I won't lie.
She has told me some of the crazy ones. They're bonkers.
You could write a book later in your career.
I think the craziest ones are the ones where they genuinely think I'm replying to them. Like, they think that we're having a conversation and that I'm, you know, like they have like a diary entry about our relationship. And I'm like,
this happens to like certain types of conservative influencers too, where people send them crazy messages and they don't respond, and then the person just keeps sending them crazy messages as if they responded.
yeah.
We got a Rumble rant here from Deep South EDC. He says, did y'all see our boy hosting the morning show? He did a good job. Gonna have to have his own show in a minute. Yes, Tate hosted the morning show today.
Tatecast. He's such a talent.
From the moment that he was on camera, he had the ability to feel natural and present in a way that is very, very rare for people who don't spend all their time on camera. Like, there is a certain level of comfort that you have to get into when you're on camera that some people just never learn. Yeah. And the ability to lean into it and do it without any prior, like, real training is really, really incredible. And I think that if he did it more often, he would get even better, and then Tatecast would blow up. He'd buy Tim out, and then we'd all be working for him.
Oh, I can't wait.
All right, let's move on.
Okay. A new study reveals the real reason why men are keeping the OnlyFans industry alive and spending thousands, sometimes millions, on OnlyFans models. And the truth is, it's not all about sex. They aren't as interested in seeing these models naked as they are interested in having heart-to-heart conversations with them for a price. And this is a stat that came from a management platform called Supercreator, claiming 78% of chats between OnlyFans creators and their top spenders are they're about everything except doing the deed. And Supercreator is an OnlyFans management agency. If you look at their website, that is just, it's too many black pills. You might OD if you look at the tips that they're giving these OnlyFans creators, especially using AI to message their subscribers.
What's interesting is it just carries the same through line that has existed within high class escorts for a very, very long time. Like, if you've watched any TV show that does some type of episode based on, the world of high class escorts, a lot of it ends up coming down to the idea that rich, powerful men, they're not even paying you for sex because they could get that however they wanted. They're paying you for keeping things in confidence because they feel that they can't come home to their wives and talk about things the way that they can to them because they're disposable.
Yeah,
it's literally talking to a wall, plastic wall.
That they're looking for emotional connection, a simulation of emotional connection and intimacy, a confidant, or those same rich, powerful men are looking for one insulated environment where they can feel powerless, which is why they tend to go to the dominatrix types. But they say the most popular topics discussed between simps and their OnlyFans models include pets, work, childhood memories, TV shows, hobbies, the same mundane stuff they reportedly can't talk about with their real-life significant others. And Sophie Rain, she's maybe the top earner on OnlyFans by now. She did an interview about this and talked about her highest spending subscriber, who is a man she identified as Charlie, who happens to be married. I have no idea if his wife is privy to the fact that he's
she doesn't know.
Draining millions of dollars into her bank account, but
he must be worth quite a bit more if she doesn't notice the $6 million that's missing.
Yeah, they say men want companionship and support from a partner they can reach at a moment's notice for a price, of course. Sophie Rain's top fan has spent over $6 million in the span of 2 years but rarely asks her for nudes.
It reminds me of the scene in Van Wilder when he creates topless tutors.
What is that?
He gets women who work at a strip club to be tutors because they're in the movie. All
For
the women,
college
all the
students,
women,
I hope.
all the women in the strip club are of course studying to get their law degree, as you do,
Or their real estate license.
and then so they tutor students topless, and he makes a fortune. That's what this feels like.
Sophie Rain says, we talk every single day without fail. Charlie, who is married and lives in the US, will send voice notes wondering how my day is going, and he loves getting to know me on a personal level.
Sending voice notes is already a red flag.
I'm more of an emotional support system for him. People often think that high-paying clients want kinky stuff, but funnily enough, he prefers to see me fully clothed and doing everyday tasks. It's no secret that building a parasocial relationship with clients is key to earning more money. Those who are classed as high-value fans are typically people who have remained loyal to a chosen model for a long time. They often tip higher and give extravagant gifts to showcase their close bond, though they're not always getting the real deal. They say only 15% of messages shared between these OnlyFans simps and the models relate to sex. The girlfriend experience is basically it's the highest, what is it? It's like the most expensive way that you can engage with an OnlyFans model because it requires more effort from her than just taking a photo without clothes on, you know? And I looked through the report that they're referencing from Super Creator, and just for transparency, I did not see the stats that they were referencing in the New York Post or these other publications, but I assume they didn't just make it up out of thin air.
Yeah.
I also found a TikTok from another OnlyFans creator who talked about what she does to provide the girlfriend experience to her top spenders on the platform, and it's quite disturbing.
Here we go.
Me for a girlfriend experience today, and I don't really want to do it, but it's one of my highest paying services, so let's get ready. Basically, a girlfriend experience is when a guy pays you to be his girlfriend for the day, and you might not know him at all, but for that day, you're gonna be his girlfriend. The two types of guys I see the most that do girlfriend experiences are military guys, so that way they have a date to their ball, and older dudes who are like going out with the guys and want a piece of arm candy. I'm doing neither of those things today. I'm actually doing a virtual girlfriend experience. So for the whole day, from the moment I woke up until the moment I go to sleep, I'm gonna be this guy's girlfriend. What that'll include for me is I'll send them like pictures right when I wake up. I'll call and say good morning. I'll call them throughout the day and ask how they're doing. A lot of the times, like they want you to call them around specific times when they're around like their guy friends or something like that. So the other guys will see that there's a girl calling to check up on them. But I do want to make it as authentic as possible. So I do bug them throughout the day like any other normal girlfriend would be doing, like asking them what they're doing, what they're up to, if they're still thinking of me, if they still love me if I was a worm, all that good stuff. I actually like really enjoy doing these virtually. I'm just feeling incredibly lazy today, but like I am so grateful that this is my job. They get to make
She has armpit hair.
Good grief.
Well, that just makes it more realistic.
Good. Even worse now.
spicy requests too, like whenever they want. A guy booked.
And you know, it's ironic because what you hear a lot of men complain about in women's behavior, in the behavior of their girlfriends or wives, is that they're being too needy or too annoying, asking them questions like, would you still love me if I were a worm? But this woman is actually getting paid to simulate the same exact experience. So I'm confused. Like, is that what men want actually? Is just to,
I think the idea is that
have their phone blowing up all day?
See, if you're not actually getting that in your regular life and it's not a daily occurrence is one thing, but if it's literally just to fool the bros so they don't think you're a loser, I don't know what to tell you.
And it's really more about the social proof that you are desired by women in front of other men, which was really disturbing. And it's so funny how at the beginning of the video, she just openly admitted that she doesn't really want to do this.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine if that guy saw this video and he realizes that it's all fake, right? And she's not, you know, interested in him at all. Does that deter him from paying for her services, or is it totally understood between both parties that this is all fake.
He specifically asked her to simulate wanting to have sex on Saturday night, but she's like, sorry, I've got a headache.
Is that like part of the girlfriend experience? I don't know anymore.
That's the married 20 years experience, apparently.
The research findings show that top spenders pay over $5,000 for a single creator in exchange an average of 2,793 messages in the terms of their payment. But sex is not what they're actually looking for. They're not looking for anything explicit.
Yeah.
They're looking for a simulation of real intimacy.
I feel like before I had this job and you subjected me to all of these stories, I would have been like, you know what? People are weird. Now I'm just like, I got nothing.
Yeah.
Like, to be fair, you actually alerted me to this. I was not the one who found the story.
Not this one.
No, you sent me
not the video.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I'm talking specifically about the video here. Like the other one, the original story, that at least like anthropologically made some sense to me. The idea of the rich person who does it because they feel like they can't go home to their wife and talk about these things because it's a sense of weakness that as the head of household they can't share with them. That at least makes some sense to me, even if it's weird. This is just sad.
Yeah, I mean, I would say both are sad.
They're both. I'm saying that they're both sad, but in different ways. Mm-hmm. The other one is more like, look, that guy lives a life. He's clearly accomplished. But I'm guessing that this guy probably is also successful. Right?
If he has the money,
if he's got the money to throw around at something like this, he's also successful. It's just maybe this is weirder because I'm watching the stupid Get Ready With Me videos, which I have a particular prejudice against. Yeah. But my ire would be more towards, I guess, the guy being so weird than the girl who I'm just like, look, free market reigns, make your money, whatever.
Well, if you think about it, there's something more honest about what a Bonnie Blue is doing with her OnlyFans fame than what Sophie Rain is doing, right?
Yeah.
Bonnie Blue is not, trying to form an emotional connection with any of the men who are subscribed to her on OnlyFans. She's very open about the fact that she's basically a sociopath.
Sociopath.
But here's the thing. You actually are a sociopath if you're doing what Sophie Rain is doing, because you know that you're emotionally manipulating these people.
Did you see this?
And it is frustrating that the women of OnlyFans are blamed for the crisis when obviously the majority of people keeping a platform like OnlyFans relevant and afloat financially, they're men. Yeah. The vast majority of the people who engage with this stuff are men.
It's never going to go away. Prostitution is very, very old. Very, very old.
Yeah.
I've heard the statement that it's the oldest profession. I don't know if that's true or not, but I know that it's not going to go away. Loneliness is always going to exist, and as long as the market is there, this stuff's not going away.
Well, I didn't think it would. Yeah. I just think that it shouldn't be online. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to be a prostitute, well, most of the time,
okay, but so
most prostitutes are actually not prostitutes by choice. They're not women who dreamed of becoming a glamorous prostitute when they grew up. That's not the truth of most actual hookers in real life. They either have pimps who are extorting them, they're in it for drugs, they're being trafficked, or at the very least, this is not something that they actually choose to do when they have the option to do something else and survive.
We've got 220s here on Rumble from Elijah Flash 232 says, I'm not justifying spending that much, but I guarantee you it's far cheaper than a divorce. And one from Grunmeister says, there was a time I'd be one of these paying OnlyFans models thinking I was in a relationship. I am so glad I'm not in that place anymore. Good for you.
Wow.
Good for you.
It's interesting that you would recognize such a shift in your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you could enlighten us on what changed, I would love to know.
That would be very interesting to find out. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that what Sophie Rain is doing with this, girlfriend experience, it's actually in a way more sinister than what Bonnie Blue is doing.
Why? Because so say she doesn't do any say she has nothing sexual going on with a dude, she's just talking to him. Is that worse than Bonnie Blue?
I'm saying there's something uniquely sinister about it, not necessarily that one is objectively worse than the other, but what Sophie Rain is doing with, simulating real emotional connection with someone for a price, it's different than just a soulless gangbang. Obviously, at least the men lined up for Bonnie Blue's meetups are, they know exactly what they're getting into. And
the guys that are
paying for girlfriend experiences, I think that they are far more actually vulnerable to being manipulated and, I suppose getting lied to by the OnlyFans women in question.
Okay. All right. Let's do Super Chats.
Corey Anderson said, have you heard of a band called SWMRS? Their song Drive North is perfect for what is happening in LA right now. Also, cottage cheese or string cheese?
Cottage cheese.
String cheese.
Cottage cheese.
100%.
I like cottage cheese, but I'm still going to choose string cheese.
You say that because you're a fitness bro.
Well, I say that because you literally can take cottage cheese and put it into a lot of things, and it doesn't really change the things. So if you take if you had normally I have eggs in the morning, but I'll take a half a cup of cottage cheese and throw it in with the eggs and scramble.
That would be good.
You can't actually taste the cottage cheese, but it increases your protein. So
you're not just eating spoonfuls of that stuff.
No, but I will.
Ugh.
But you can also take cottage cheese
gives
and
me
throw
the
it together
heebie-jeebies.
with a few other things and make a pretty incredibly good cheesecake too. That is no joke.
There's a 20 there.
Oh, from Wentful R word. Here's me paying Mary to say she's fine. I'm fine.
Who's fine?
Is that what you want me to do? Is say that I'm fine?
I'm not sure if it was she's fine that he paged to say.
I do want to ask people this philosophical question, which should be the new one making the rounds on X. First in line with the gorilla or last in line with Bonnie Blue?
To fight the gorilla? Hopefully not to...
Yes. The assumption would be to fight the gorilla.
Okay, it wasn't immediately apparent to me.
First in line to fight. I've seen that meme. First in line to fight the gorilla.
How about neither?
Yeah.
Actually, I would choose to just get killed by a gorilla.
Both are going to end up squishy.
Yeah. Grant Morrison's Talia Body Pillow said, a reason why Ballerina fails is because Ana de Armas is dating the current Cuban dictator's stepson. She gets boycotted for this. Me too, by the way.
I don't know about I don't know, but I
thought
did
the rumor
see...
was that she was dating Tom Cruise.
Yeah. If she got boycotted for it, that's very, very interesting because I didn't see any mainstream coverage of that, but that could be true, I guess. Or it could just be that, people didn't want to see Joan Wick. I did, but nobody...
Joan Wick?
That's
clever.
I didn't come up with that. Somebody else came up with it. I saw that in a thumbnail. But, and I liked the movie a lot.
I don't think anyone was boycotting Ballerina because she's dating a Cuban dictator's stepson.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
I'm like Macklemore.
it.
I'm really into my niche boycotts.
Now, like I said, his dad's a leftist. He's a leftist.
Right.
That's right in line with acceptable behavior.
She is Cuban, right?
Yes.
She comes from
I
Cuba.
believe so.
I believe.
Right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I could be wrong. I don't want to have somebody come like, oh, you're freaking wrong. I don't know. I thought so, but maybe I'm wrong.
Actually.
Let's hold off on the rest and we will come back.
Back in 2023, I was on a whatever podcast panel with an OnlyFans star named Nala Ray, and in 2024, she ended up going public with her conversion to Christianity and now claims that she has reformed from her prior line of work and has instead turned to online ministry. And people, understandably, have expressed a lot of skepticism for whether or not this conversion is genuine. Are her intentions aligned with her purported faith? And now, I think they're getting vindicated because Nala Ray has launched a new website for her online ministry called theanointedpathway.com, where you can find a bunch of paid courses on a number of different topics related to living a godly life, becoming holy, living your purpose ordained by Jesus. And people are expressing outrage at this. One said, Nala Ray has been Christian for like 3 minutes and married for 2. I have one question. Why? Another one said, whoever was skeptical of her is 100% vindicated. I was initially very sympathetic to Nala Ray and rejoiced, thinking that her repentance was sincere, but it's obvious that Christianity has become her new grift.
I noticed that all of the courses are $15 except for the From Lust to Life 75-day porn-free course.
Yeah, I'm looking at
Do
the
what
list
you
of
know.
her courses right now. There's Discovering Your Purpose, Living a Life That Honors God, From Lust to Life, Porn-Free course, Overcoming Anxiety and Fear, Finding Peace in God's Promises, Building a Stronger Marriage, God's Blueprint for Love, Living with Gratitude, Cultivating a Thankful Heart, Overcoming Loneliness, Finding Connection in Christ, Healing from Past Hurts, Walking in Forgiveness, Overcoming Addiction, Managing Stress, Deepening Your Prayer Life, Building Healthy Friendships, Overcoming Negative Self-Talk, and lastly, Financial Freedom, Stewarding God's Resources Wisely. And if you look through this entire list, all of the images above each course seem to be very clearly generated by AI. I assume, since there are so many of them in such a short time, there has to be a catch. I am assuming that a lot of the material in these e-courses you pay for is not actually written or formulated by Nala herself. It's generated by AI.
Yeah.
It's giving ChatGPT vibes.
You think so?
I mean, from the look of it, all of these images are generated by AI, and how could she create, you know, what, like 20 different online courses?
She's an
Do you think
intellectual
that-
titan.
Do you think that the person that programmed the ChatGPT knows how to use GPT so that way the prompts are actually producing what they're supposed to be producing, or do you think it's like really AI slop?
Who knows? I don't want to take one for the team by giving Nala my money for any of these courses, so I guess we'll have to wait and see if someone does a deep dive into all
chat.
of this.
If you want to go ahead and buy one of Nala Ray's things.
But on her website, you start off at the home page with a picture of her kind of looking into the light, and it says, "Freedom starts here, a movement for transformation, healing, and purpose in Christ. The Anointed Pathway is a movement of transformation, healing, and redemption, a place where freedom is found and purpose is restored." Founded by Nala Ray and Jordan Giordano, her husband, this ministry is dedicated to helping men and women break free from what holds them back, whether it's anxiety, addiction, shame, fear, stress, broken relationships, or a struggle with lust. Through biblical truth, spiritual growth, and practical tools, we guide people toward lasting renewal and a deeper relationship with Christ.
Can I ask you a question? You might remember this. He was religious before he met her, right?
Yes, her husband was already Christian before they met.
So this is just, maybe the thing is, maybe he spent his whole life wanting to bring people to Christ, and he just needed somebody to sell the coursework for him.
Well, she, explaining the way that they ended up together, said that meeting him had a lot to do with her decision to convert to Christianity.
Maybe these are his teachings, and she's just the face of it.
Yeah, that seems likely as well.
Maybe it isn't ChatGPT. Maybe the Jordan Giordano course just doesn't sell as well as the Nala Ray course.
There's also the fact that they immediately started, selling merch related to their faith. And she, after OnlyFans, started doing a bunch of TikTok live streams where she would talk about the Bible and talk about faith and answer people's questions. And on TikTok Live, people send you donations the same way they would on YouTube. That's the way that she started making money after giving up OnlyFans. And she's doing all of these interviews on all these different podcasts. She talked to Michael Knowles. She went on Lila Rose's podcast and countless others to talk about this. And, it's blatantly suspect. I understand where people are coming from. I don't think that the people responding negatively to this are universally trying to condemn her without evidence. I think this is pretty clearly something that's questionable at best.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And this also came up earlier this month when Nala Ray was announced as one of the featured speakers at a Turning Point Young Women's Leadership Summit. She's here on the list as one of the people speaking to this young female audience, and they received a lot of backlash for choosing her and featuring her this way. And I agreed with the people who said that this was an unwise decision. I said, is it wise to promote her as an influence or role model for young women at a conservative event? And I think the answer is pretty obviously no. And that's not even to say it's because, you know, she's a liar, she's a grifter, she's lying, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, she just made all of this up. I don't even agree with that. But you're giving someone a platform and you're promoting them and you're making them into some kind of thought leader or faith leader when they've barely proven that they have any credibility, altogether 5 minutes after being on OnlyFans.
What was the joke I said beforehand? Is like, maybe she could teach the beginner course, but actually you have to be an expert to teach the beginner course. So
to teach people about anything.
Yeah.
You have to at least fashion yourself as an expert on these topics. And she is giving people a paid course on building a strong marriage when she's been married, as they said, for 2 years.
I wouldn't be able to sell somebody in good conscience a podcast, like a course on how to podcast, and I've been doing this for several years now. So
yeah,
that maybe use that as a gauge. Like, I've been doing it for work for quite some time, and I wouldn't feel comfortable selling that to someone. So
I just remember having this conversation with her after the whatever podcast when we all like went to In-N-Out, and she dropped her weird sexual persona and just behaved like a normal person, and she was perfectly polite and seemed intelligent enough. And she was talking about what she planned to do with her life before starting OnlyFans. And this is while she was still in it. And she was like talking about how she like wanted to start a business. She also thought about like becoming a dental hygienist, or she was like managing a gym before she started OnlyFans, a lot of different things. And it's just weird to me that after OnlyFans, you want to stay as some sort of public figure online, and that's the only way you could have formulated to make a living.
Well, I mean, when that's what you've done the whole time, that's like, you know, the idea would be like you have to go a completely different direction. It's probably very scary.
And like, I disagree with the people who are saying from the very beginning with no evidence that she's a liar. There were also people saying she's telling the truth from her own perspective, but it's impossible for her to be forgiven because she's just so disgusting. And I disagree with that too. That is an anti-Christian and anti-human perspective.
If there's no forgiveness or redemption, then what are we all even here for?
I mean, like, Christianity is based on the idea that, and I mean, obviously you know this better than anybody else, but like Christianity is based on the whole idea that men are forgivable, like that because of Christ, you can actually be forgiven for your sins, and nothing except for Christ actually is good enough to forgive you for your sins. So like the idea that she's not forgivable is literally as anti-Christian as you can get.
Right. Yeah. And I think you can turn a critical eye to this, and you can be discerning and not, you know, just immediately believe everything an influencer is telling you, while also believing that redemption is possible and available to everyone. And that was my response to a lot of people who were defending Turning Point's decision to feature her as a speaker. Well, you know, just letting her do her thing and not hating on her and dehumanizing her, that is one thing. But to choose her and promote her and plaster her all over your event and, you know, portray her as a role model, an influencer for young women, especially the young women and at an event like this who are already, for the most part, very conservative and Christian, that's not a wise decision.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clear that that's not a wise decision. And pointing that out isn't condemning her as a person, whole cloth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, criticizing the idea that maybe you're not ready to teach a course on this is also not saying that her turn to Christ isn't genuine. It's saying that you're jumping the gun on the on the professional aspect of it.
But the people who were the absolute nastiest to her immediately after her conversion are going to see this and jump on it and say, see, we were right all along.
Of course they will.
Once a bop, always a bop. That's what they say.
Yeah.
That she was making the whole thing up for attention. Don't you see? You were gullible. You're all you gullible Christians, right?
Yep.
I disagree with that camp. I disagree with the camp that's idolizing her. I think you can just see her as a human being. Maybe it's easier for me to do that because I actually met and spoke with her. But it just is kind of ridiculous that a lot of people, not just Nala Ray, kind of want to become these, religious leaders as soon as they convert. You can take some time to learn and live it. And that would show a lot more humility.
Yeah, and it feels like it's less stressful to be in the camp of learning rather than teaching.
Yeah, a lot less pressure.
Like if you actually believe in the trust put upon you as a teacher, then you should see the time spent as a student as a less stressful, maybe not a better time, but certainly a time with less on your shoulders if you actually take the responsibility of a teacher seriously.
Well, from a Catholic perspective, this is actually why I think you don't need to buy into all of Catholic teachings to recognize that the arrangement of having an ordained priest is superior to having a pastor, because in order to become a priest who teaches a congregation of people and is entrusted with their care, you have to give up a lot that a pastor doesn't have to give up. Yeah. A pastor doesn't have to give up any wealth or marriage or children, or having, another job as well. A priest has to give up all of those things and completely dedicate himself to that role. So I see that as like automatically a reason to at least trust that their heart is in it.
Grunmeister has another 20 here. Says, Mary, ultimately it was a string of bad decisions starting at 19, some that left effect on me to this day, which has led me to self-reflect a lot and spend 8 years in different therapy programs. I'm 31 now. That was
started at, wait, what?
Bad decisions that started at 19.
Oh, from
the previous topic.
When you would have been one of the OnlyFans simps. Okay. Well, more power to you. I'm glad that you've undergone such a dramatic change in your life.
Continue
That's a great
to grow.
Story.
Makes me want to sign up for this overcoming negative self-talk course.
Which one would be your favorite? Which one, if you had to sign up for one, which one would it be?
The overcoming negative self-talk. Yeah.
I'm gonna look through here. What would I do? Maybe I would choose the course on building healthy friendships, loving others like Jesus.
There you go.
I would do that one.
There you go.
Maybe overcoming anxiety. That sounds like a good course. Nala isn't the only person selling bullshit courses on the internet, so let's not act like she's the root of this problem. She's just following a trend that already existed.
Where is Luke Belmar when you need him?
Who is Luke Belmar?
That is a good question. Many have asked such a thing.
He's actually a podcast bro.
Yeah.
But he has his own, version of the Tate War Room, and he sells his own ebooks and courses on how to become rich. And he became rich by teaching people how to get rich.
Well, what he did was he locked in and he studied.
Yeah, he studied, he brainstormed.
And he studied and he brainstormed.
He masterminded.
All right, let's finish these super chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, can't we just let bros be bros? Also, Gavin Newsom would never get being a bro. You have to have, what is it called? Oh, yeah, testosterone. Yeah, I don't think Gavin Newsom would know much about bro culture. He needs to just focus on putting out the literal fires in his own city.
Plus, he's a lizard person. Everybody knows that.
He is a lizard person.
He's a lizard wearing a skin suit.
Isaac Cervantes III said, sorry for the pet drama. Bro, man, bro. Hi, Phil.
Hi.
No need to apologize. The Manic Mustache said, the word bro, you keep using it, but I don't think it means what you think it means.
Probably
Stay
not.
toxic, my friends. It definitely doesn't mean what the journalists think it means. Shane H. Wilder said, I heard there is a subset of dudes who do plumbing called Mario Bros, and one for those who drink coffee but hate Starbucks called Dutch Bros. We actually don't live in an area that has Dutch Bros, but it is definitely a trend. I didn't know about the Mario Bros.
They're all super.
And then he said, pastors with props. Man, I'm glad I'm Catholic. Yeah, there are a lot of moments that I'm just like, ooh, I'm glad I don't have to worry about that. Like,
Not my problem.
yeah, I don't think my priest is ever going to ride into the church on a roller coaster and start screaming.
I mean, that's what I want. That's what I want.
Not my circus, not my monkeys.
Red Snow said, go outside, nerds. JK, love y'all. Good show as usual.
Cheers.
Well, we're only here for 2 hours a day. You don't know what we're up to.
Exactly.
The last of my kind said, Phil, Brett, what's up? Oh, hey, Mary.
What's up?
What's up?
Hey. Shane H. Wilder said, Sabrina is on the cover of Rolling Stone, nude and on her knees. It's not that deep, nor satirical or ironic. It's essentially softcore prawn. Yeah, I think it's not even Sabrina who's claimed that it's satirical. It's her fans who are trying to defend this nonsense.
It does look, guys, as an update here, that yesterday's episode of the show is now up on Spotify. It did not upload the picture properly, which just continues
That's
the
so
ongoing
annoying.
problems. But if you are looking to listen to it, you can find it over there. So I'll have to tweet
Also,
about
please give us a rating on Spotify
Yes.
if you have
Do
not
it.
done so already.
A high rating, thank you, please.
Corn Pop said, how much do I need to pay to get the suitcase song replaced?
Ooh.
that. We need a different song. I would prefer
Yeah.
to not replace it until Carter comes up with something specific.
So you can tweet at Carter.
I would like a new Carter original.
Mm-hmm. Same. Surinko Productions said, I'm ready for the hostile Tate over. Let's gongo.
Let's go and go.
Jesus.
Is there a Tate over happening?
It's gonna happen.
Are his fans called
Tate-
the Tater Tots?
No, they're called Tate Bros.
Tate Bros. Corey Anderson said, I want to fight demons. How do I apply for this job? I guess you would have to become a priest and then just hope that they let you become an exorcist.
I wonder how you have to be, what you have to do to become an exorcist in 2025.
You have to like not be interested in becoming an exorcist because if you're a priest, your bishop is actually the one who would make that decision, and if you are the kind of priest who like really wants to do this or that, it's a sign that you're not suited for the
So
role.
it's not like the parish special forces where they.
Like what I've heard from every exorcist who talks about being an exorcist is that they didn't originally have any
Want to be an
plan or
exorcist.
hope of becoming
The
one.
best suited to lead is the one who never sought the throne.
Mm-hmm. Shane H. Wilder said, why is it always the feet weirdos? That's why you can't get a GF IRL. Go outside, rid yourself of the prawn brain. You'll feel better and more confident. Yeah, I mean, they should pay you, Shane, to like give them life advice. They clearly need it.
Clearly.
Adam said, saw a bee meme 1 gorilla versus 100 riot.
Rioters, maybe?
I don't know what that means.
Oh, a Babylon Bee meme.
Oh, duh.
Yeah.
1 gorilla versus 100 rioters. I think the rioters would win.
I mean, not the people that are rioting.
Yeah, maybe not. They might lose. Corn Pop said, did Mary say my name yet today? I did.
Twice now, I think.
Yes. Shane H. Wilder said, I subscribe to Hallow, so I'm not against paying for things to help in faith, but Nala isn't even a neophyte in her understanding of faith yet. Yeah, I don't even disagree with, like, the Hallow business model. A lot of people say that it's shady, that what Hallow does, but even the CEO of Hallow, when he's done interviews about it and addressed that criticism, he said, you know, you don't need Hallow. You don't need it to pray. This just might help you, and you can pay for it if you want that help. And if we're fine without it, then all power to you to do that. Shane H. Wilder said, Mary is right on the role of priests. His life is for the flock. My priest actually has an emergency beeper in case he's called for extreme unction. I believe that's last rites, right? Or am I thinking of something else?
I think it's last rites.
Okay.
I can't imagine anything that's more pressing for a priest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why I'd rather have a priest who has taken a vow of celibacy or maybe even a vow of poverty. Not all of them do. Because why would you live like that unless you really believed in what you're doing? If you're a pastor, there are plenty of shady pastors who use it as a get-rich-quick scheme. And Joel Osteen is just the most famous example. Brian Bledsoe said, Christians and conservatives reek of desperation for mainstream approval when they jump on the latest celebrity that says anything in line with them. Very true. That's how I felt about, what was it? Black China, or no, it was Amber Rose, who was invited to speak at the RNC last year. I said, this is ridiculous. There's no reason why someone like this, who is still, by the way, actively on OnlyFans, to be platformed at the RNC. Like, that's absolutely insane.
Yeah, but they won the election, so.
Oh, is it Amber Rose's
it's her
credit?
Yeah,
she's the one who got Trump in office, really?
Yep, that's what happened.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't even think it necessarily hurt his case, but like, that was so stupid. And I remember saying that. We covered it, I believe, last year when that happened.
We did.
And that was my take. And people were furious at me. I was like, when did all of you become like, people who are just like going to believe everything the GOP says? Like, we know that they're pieces of shit. Like, we know most of them are swamp creatures.
Yes.
Yep.
So when did we start like agreeing with everything that the RNC decides to do?
I don't think that that's ever been a thing.
There were a lot of things that were lame about the RNC. Honestly, including Trump's speech, which barely even acknowledged the assassination attempt that occurred literally like days before it.
Yeah, acknowledging he didn't really play into it very much after it happened.
When he should have.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even consider it playing into it for you to just fully address what happened. But it felt like it was just kind of pushed under the rug. And even the speakers who they invited prior to Trump, they didn't acknowledge it either. It was almost like they put out a memo, like you're not allowed to talk about it on stage. Shane H. Wilder said it's last rites. Okay, I had that right. There's so much Catholic lingo, it's hard to keep up with sometimes. I've been around Catholic Church for a long time, and I still don't know the half of it. I think we're all caught up on the Superchats,
We're all caught up in... Oh, let me check Rumble as well. See what's going on over there. We are all caught up. We should have talked about Jared Leto this week. We didn't do it. We just avoided. We just never got around it.
It's one Me Too case after another.
No, and literally, and they're all so interchangeable that I forgot that Jared Leto and Russell Brand aren't the same person.
They're all so interchangeable.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, Russell Brand and Jared
Jared
Leto aren't the same person? Holy
Jared
shit.
Leto's American. Right?
I think so, yeah.
Not
Yes.
But they're but Russell Brand is facing his own charges in the UK right now.
Right.
And when I read the cases, I was like, they're both long-haired.
Strikingly similar.
They look kind of the same. I did laugh at the article that referred to Morbius as an emo vampire movie. Like, I think that might have been the most insulting part of it for him.
That's an insult to emo vampire movies.
He's gonna show up to court and say it's Morbin time.
Everything about Morbius was just hilariously cringe.
That was his catchphrase before every essay.
No,
he said to all the women, "It's Morbin time," and then he morbed them.
So the issue.
Sorry, I'm being crass.
The issue. I mean, you should see how crass we are before the show. It's awful.
Yeah.
But the issue right now for Jared Leto is that he has two very big roles coming up in Tron Ares. Mm-hmm. He's also playing Skeletor in the Masters of the Universe live action.
Skeletor. I wonder.
And they're like, what is that going to do for the promotion for Tron Ares? And people were kind of making a comparison to, to Jonathan Majors, who Disney held off on making any decisions until after he was prosecuted in a court of law. But my guess is, given everything with Jared Leto, just timing-wise, there's no way that he'll end up in court before Tron comes out, which I think is towards the end of the year.
When are those release dates?
I don't think Masters of the Universe is anytime soon, but I think that Tron is towards the end of the year. Somebody in the chat will know.
I feel like that movie is going to do well.
I'm excited for Tron. I like the last. Well, actually, I like both the other Trons.
So
I feel like people just liked it for the aesthetic. They didn't really care about the.
I think they like Daft Punk. That's what they like.
Yeah, they liked the soundtrack and the neon lights. So
I did, but I also, I liked the first Tron when I was a kid. So
I've never seen it. I only saw what was it, 2010? That they put the reboot. Out?
That sounds right. 2010.
Yeah.
Right. But with all of the Me Too cases, it all just kind of runs together.
He's starring in that one, or is he just one of the supporting?
He's the star of Tron Ares. Yeah. So Disney has to
that's
decide.
Gonna be awkward.
Disney has to decide whether they're just going to pretend like nothing happened.
They're in a glass room right now, screaming at each other about what to do.
But literally that's something that they have to worry about every time they make a movie of any sort.
Right.
Like, what's going to happen? Somebody's going to get accused of something.
Well, look, the guy ran a cult. So what did you expect?
Yeah, and then there was all this stuff about him sending used condoms to Will Smith on the set of Suicide Squad because he was method acting as the Joker. Personally, I don't know what the Joker has to do with sending used condoms to anyone, but I could be wrong.
Was that something that the Joker did?
The clown prince of sex crimes?
I
don't like that.
He also sent roadkill packages to Margot Robbie. And he runs this cult of women who are obsessed with him. And
he's on tour right now with 30 Seconds to Mars.
He actually sent things to Margot Robbie?
He sent dead animals. Yeah.
That is nuts.
I know. Talk about workplace harassment.
He's what are you talking about? It was 2012.
He should be excommunicated from public life for that kind of stuff.
Here's an Entertainment Weekly article saying
it's definitely illegal to mail biohazards to people.
Here's an article that says that he never did that and that these stories were said in jest.
What?
Sounds like an excuse.
Come on. Right. So they were saying Margot Robbie and Will Smith said that stuff as a joke?
Must have been. So this was it says Jared Leto sent used condoms to his Suicide Squad co-stars. I don't know if this was ever since disproven. I always just kind of took it as true because he's always weird.
Well, I also saw some other posts about Jared Leto's past when we were considering covering this, and it included this old tweet from James Gunn. Okay, so Dylan Sprouse tweeted in 2018, "Yo, at Jared Leto, now that you've slid into the DMs of every female model aged 18 to 25, what would you say your success rate is?" I believe Dylan Sprouse was saying that because his wife is one of those models. Mm-hmm. And James Gunn replied to Dylan Sprouse saying about Jared Leto, he starts at 18 on the internet? Meaning in real life, James Gunn is implying that in real life, Jared Leto is hitting on minors.
They were they recalled it back to an old interview with him and Jennifer Connelly, where they said Jared Leto likes him young.
It wasn't just used condoms, by the way. The claim was that he also sent Will Smith anal beads.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Here's this one. Jared Leto said he never sent Margot Robbie a dead rat for Suicide Squad. He did, however, give her vegan cinnamon buns, which is worse.
That's a crime.
Yeah. Better to send her the dead rat.
What? Is Jared Leto vegan or something?
I believe so.
Isn't
that part of his cult as well?
If I meet a man who's vegan, I immediately think this man is a predator. If you need to act like
the
prey,
vegan to
you
male
must be
feminist
a predator.
Pipeline is undeniable.
Well, it's just a Venn diagram that's a circle, right?
Yes.
If a man is a vegan, he is trying to communicate to the world that he is harmless and not dangerous. And he is prey, not predator.
He's like, oh, I'm plant-based.
You're overcompensating for something, and it's the fact that you're dangerous. I would never be alone in a room with a male vegan or a male feminist.
Yeah.
And maybe not even a A man with a mustache and a mullet combo.
Yeah.
Those are suspect to me as well. Shane H. Wilder said, "Okay, you filling in for Tim tonight, Phil?"
I believe so. I'm not sure, but I think so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to say what Tim's up to?
He was feeling sick yesterday, so he didn't do the morning show today. He had a Tate to the fill-in.
Yeah.
And so Tim is, like I said, like last night, he was like, I'm not feeling so hot. Maybe I won't be there tomorrow. And I was like, well, I'll be there tomorrow. So.
Well, I will be on IRL tonight, as per usual. So tune in, y'all.
I had a lot of fun last night. That was good. So that the guest was somebody that I'd watched like a lot back in like 2018.
Yeah.
When I was like working at an apartment complex, and all I did was listen to political YouTube just constantly. Life is so different now. Like there's just no time for it anymore.
Well, Phil, what are we going to talk about on IRL?
I
Do you
have no
a
idea
hint?
because I've been here. I don't know what the news of the day is. So I'll be running around.
Well,
trying to
you
figure that
could
out.
you could talk about.
Can we do
Jared
something
Leto.
fun? Can we not
Probably
talk about Iran?
Um,
We might have to.
It depends. I don't know for sure. I don't think that there's anything that's happened with Iran today. So it's just like
They
there's
still
no actual.
haven't replied to the proposal.
Well, yeah, there's no news.
Yeah.
So if there's no news, we don't talk about Iran. If there's news, we'll talk about it. But I know that the situation going on with LA and with what's coming this weekend is probably going to be the most pressing.
We were
news
driving
story.
into like Tyson's Corner one day, and we saw a big truck with an LED panel on the back that said "Make Iran Great Again."
What?
Yeah.
And that's it?
It
was just an unmarked
No, it had a it had
truck?
it had a picture of, I think his family used to be in power there, and he was going to give a speech on the lawn of the White House, something like that. It was
That's
let's see if I
so
still have the
weird.
photo. Yeah, it was very weird.
What does it mean to make Iran great again?
I guess to get rid of the
to get a new
New leadership?
a democratic regime.
yeah.
We need to establish another democracy in the Middle East.
Well,
Can't
I mean,
wait.
CIA's like,
Oh, I cannot wait. Corn Pop said, "Mary, so far I checked everything off the list." I don't know what list you're talking about, Corn Pop. I'm completely lost.
what list would that be?
Yeah, that's ominous.
I don't know what list that is. I wish I still had that photo, but it was really funny. Like, I was just like, because it was like an LED panel truck, so the whole back was a screen, so that sounds expensive to me.
I think that those things shouldn't even exist because it's distracting people
Distracting?
on the road.
Yeah.
That seems like it should be illegal.
Yeah.
Well, I guess IRL is always more fun when Mary's there. So
It,
it'll be fun regardless.
It sort of is.
I think it's fun when you're hosting too.
Well, thank you.
That's a good vibe. Adam said, "Talk about the lone survivor of the plane crash."
Yeah, there was like
What's
a
that?
full-size jet that went
Yeah.
down and one person survived.
Plane
Where?
from India to heading to Britain, and
Whoa.
went down, and one person lived. So
That was today.
like last night, I think,
How do I not hear about these things?
because you're busy doing your job, which is paying attention to things like Jojo Siwa.
Right. I prefer it that way.
Yeah, I read that earlier, and I'm like, that guy's going to have a very interesting life afterwards, either full of deep gratitude or
A lot of guilt.
deep guilt, depending
Survivor
on your
guilt.
philosophy on
Mhm.
life.
It's gonna be weird.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe this is like a hot take, but like I wouldn't feel survivor guilt. It's just so illogical, you know. We got another 20. Did you
Yep.
see that one?
Elijah Flash says Spaceballs. Yes, they're making
Yes, they're
Spaceballs
making
too.
Spaceballs. I love it.
Oh,
Rick
really?
Moranis coming out of retirement. Hopefully
for real?
Hopefully nobody punches him in the face.
Yeah.
He's actually in it?
Yeah.
I didn't think he was going to work again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of surprising.
You
I
just
mean-
know he's living fat off royalties from
Yeah,
the
Mel-
contracts of Hollywood back in the
Of
day.
course.
Mm-hmm.
Mel Brooks is like 90 million years old too, and I assume he's going to be in it. Excuse me. He was like 80. It seemed like he was 80
It's like-
back in when the first Spaceballs came out.
It's like Morgan Freeman. He's been 75 for like 40
Forever.
years.
Yes.
I remember watching Spaceballs like as a kid, and I hadn't seen Star Wars, so I literally didn't know that it was a parody movie. I was
Yeah.
just like,
This
they're
is
saying
weird.
such confusing things. It's so funny.
We would watch it on the trailer, but we always get dinged and then demonetized. Got another from Shane H. Wilder.
Mary, you're going to have to work hard to beat Brett snatching a fly out of midair like a freaking ninja. I could never do that. Like mostly
it was
because
a slow fly. This was not. This
it
thing
was a
was
slow fly.
They weren't sending their best.
You didn't have chopsticks?
No, I didn't.
I actually knew a guy who did catch a fly with chopsticks.
He tells that story
Yeah.
forever, like
Yeah.
the rest of his life.
But I wouldn't be able to catch the fly because I would be too grossed out. I would like catch it and then start like whining like a girl.
Yeah, we so when we went to see Ballerina, there was a little mouse in the theater. And
You told me about this and I lost my mind. Like, how did you not just immediately leave?
Because it
I
went
would
to
be
the row in front of
terrified.
us.
That is disgusting. It's around your food.
It's not around my food. My food.
How do you
is-
know they're not in the kitchen with your drunken fries?
Well, you know what? You know what? So be it.
And it probably looked small from far away, but you
No,
walk
it was-
up closer.
No, it was like right there. It was.
Give us an estimate. What was it? Can you compare it? That is not small at all. That's just the normal size of a mouse.
Small.
That's disgusting.
Wasn't a rat.
Okay, if there were a rat, would you leave?
I would be more concerned if it was a rat.
You
yeah.
wouldn't leave?
I don't know.
You would stay? For
I would have taken the cue from Olivia. If Olivia wanted to leave, I guess we'd leave.
You'd have left.
Yeah.
See,
She saw the mouse. She didn't want to leave.
she thought it was cute. You
She
said
thought it was cute.
That's insane. That in that moment, this is why I'm a Karen, because if I saw that in
And
the
there was a
movie
hole
theater,
in the roof. Not in our theater, but in
it
the
probably
front.
got in through the hole
Probably.
in the roof.
Probably
and
just jumped down.
It landed in the bucket that's catching all the water.
And apparently the mice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I saw that at the movie theater,
I know you.
I would march right out of there, and I'd be like,
she would've
"You're
had her
giving
hands-
me 10 free movie tickets right now and a free drink."
Yeah. And a big thing of popcorn.
Because they have a bar there. I'd be like, "You're giving me
alcohol.
a Moscow Mule right now." Or else I'm gonna review bomb you on Yelp.
We need like $22.
And the
for,
high schoolers that work there would be like, "Okay, lady, it's no skin off my nose."
Yeah, they don't care. No, when we went there, that was the first time they've ever like scanned my ticket.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But sometimes they only scan it if it seems like you want them to scan it. Like if they
No,
know
didn't
that you don't care.
They didn't do it at the front. They did it when I went to get food. So it's like if I just hadn't gotten food, I guess I would have just gone to the movie for free if I hadn't
Wait,
bid.
why can't you just go to the movie theater to eat the food and leave?
That's a good question.
You can do that.
Yeah.
That's an option.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know
Okay.
why you'd want to spend an inordinately large amount of
on-
it cost us $21 for the drunken fries.
So the
I
drunken
needed to
fries
take-
are how much?
we got 2 of them and it cost
Oh,
21.
and they scammed you. They scammed you. They told you it was beer cheese and it
Yeah.
was actually nacho
It was nacho
cheese.
I was like, that almost made its way into
And
my
no,
review.
The fact that you went back and said, "Hey, this isn't beer cheese."
I didn't. Olivia did.
Olivia did?
Olivia's like, no.
Would you have?
No. I'd have just
You would've
suffered through the
accepted
nacho
it?
cheese. Olivia's like, I don't come here for the movies. I come here for the beer cheese.
Yeah.
They're giving me my
She's not
frickin'
seeing
beer
an
cheese.
action movie for no
No,
reason.
no. She makes that very well known. She's like, I'm going there for the drunken fries.
Yeah.
And
So
because
then-
she's like, I love you and the drunken fries.
Then the lady was like, "Oh, I was just hoping you wouldn't notice."
Yes.
That is an insane thing
Like
to say.
to admit, yeah, it is.
She just gives 0 F's.
They didn't care.
Gordon Shumway said, "Phil, I'm sure you can talk all night about Senator Padilla. Is it pronounced
Padilla?
Padilla.
Being taken down after he lunged at
Secretary No.
No.
It's
Today,
all-
of course, everyone is up in arms about it on both sides.
Yeah, it's all just fake and gay.
Well, as long as she put on like the outfit of a special forces operator, I'm sure she could have taken him down. Since what she does
Wait,
best is
No,
put
it's
on
someone
costumes.
else. It wasn't taken down by Kirsten.
No,
Dunst.
I know.
Although it would be funny if it was Kirsten.
Yeah.
Dunst that did
He
it.
lunged at her?
I haven't been able to watch it. I've been busy, so I don't know for sure, but something along those lines. It's freaking out. Like, people are freaking out about it, yes. So I'm sure we'll talk about
I don't hear about any of this stuff. My algorithm is just all like Sabrina Carpenter, TV shows, movies.
Yeah.
Which is perfect for us.
I've also I've come around to my thoughts on like you should never go on X in the morning. Like you should wait till you get into work or like don't sit on your phone.
I break that rule.
I do too, but I regret it usually when I do. But I've kind of amended that. It's like if you're gonna do it, if you must, start on your following tab and not on like the the whatever the other one is called. Let's start on the one with people you follow, not on the one that's not people you follow.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna read something awful, like
Yeah,
just
probably.
awful.
Havoc Axe said Mel Brooks said he would not do the sequel without Dark Helmet. I am all in for Spaceballs 2.
Let's go.
Thank goodness.
Omega Red fan sent us a sticker.
Thank you.
Thank you. Adam said people still use Yelp.
Apparently they do.
I think so.
That's good. I don't use Yelp, but well, no. So if you work in a restaurant, right? Like restaurants get reviews all the time.
They give themselves fake reviews on Yelp.
The and those who work in the restaurant business will go and read the reviews about their business because their boss is going to see them.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
You're always on watch. You're always
I think
on
we're
watch.
all caught up.
We're all caught up, guys. If the second crisis party does not go off before we're done with the outro, we'll post credit scene.
Come on, guys,
But
you can
we'll
do
see.
this.
Well, we got the crisis party, but it's on the timer. So hit the like button on this live stream, this episode, and share it out with your friends because somebody else might be on the internet right now waiting to watch something, and they can watch it on replay. So share our content out with everybody you know. Phil, where can they find you?
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. I'm Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. Our new record is called Anti-Fragile, and you can check that out on YouTube, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, and Deezer. And don't forget the left lane is for crime.
Yes. Potatoes for Seamus asks, Brett, have you watched The People's Joker lately? No, I only ever watched that when we had to torture other people with watching it. But yeah.
That time is long gone.
Oh, yeah, The People's Joker. That was one of the most cringy things that I've ever seen in my life.
We aim to please here.
Yes.
That was really bad.
I don't even remember where it came from the first time we watched
internet.
Well, we talked about how it got into a copyright lawsuit with Warner Brothers.
Okay.
Guys, you can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived, and send me death threats on TikTok at Mary Archived. I don't know.
Easy
And
there.
also catch me later on Timcast IRL with Phil.
All right, guys, if you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. We are here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you'd like to listen rather than watch this show, again, it looks like we got the Spotify issue figured out in the yesterday's episode should be up there. So what you should do is you should go on a PCC marathon and listen to yesterday's episode and then this episode back to back. Even if you just watch this whole thing live, you should watch it again and share it out with everybody that you know. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at popculturecrisis, Instagram at popculturecrisisPod. Guys, stay tuned for a post-credit crisis party. It'll be going off any second now. I have no doubt. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. So good. Got it.
Thank you.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back tomorrow. Bye, everybody.